Shana Tova. I want to begin with the question. Raise your hand if you are a lawyer. Come on, raise them. I really thought there'd be more. They're hiding? I got something for you. And if you heard of this guy, let me know after. But I want to introduce you to someone named the late Maxi Filer. Any lawyer from Los Angeles decades ago? All right, we're clear with that. So no legal insiders from Los Angeles. I'm going to assume that no one ran the state's number 2 pencils. But Maxi became this incredible legal legend. You guys know that quote that, albeit wrongly attributed to Albert Einstein, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results? Well, Maxi Filer might be the first person who ever proved Einstein wrong. See, Maxi, he took the California bar exam. I know it's hard. And he failed. He took it again, and he failed. And again, what do you guys think? Then again, failed. And in fact, he failed 47 times. So for all those lawyers out there, I'm not going to ask you how many times it took you to take the bar, but for Maxi, he spent over $50,000 in repeat examination. But here's the thing. At some point, you would think that logic would tell him to stop. Reason would have begged him, give it up. A rational person, after a dozen tries, or 20 or 30, one would say, this isn't my path. Find something else to do. But Maxi, reason, logic, common sense, and he kept out showing up with that number 2 pencil, multiple decades, which started in 1967, because he always believed in himself. And somehow, impossibly, and frankly, unbelievably, he succeeded at the 48th attempt in 1991. He became a remarkable lawyer. People call him one of the most transformative leaders in Southern California, doing so much for his beloved hometown of Compton, California. In 2011, he passed away. And his son, Judge Kelvin Filer, said, the words that guided my dad through every challenge and to dismiss those who mocked him for failing 47 times, his dad would teach him the following: perseverance, perseverance, perseverance. And so for us non-lawyers, I think there's 2 enduring lessons for us. To persevere when we know the path is worthy, and to persevere even when doubt feels stronger than the prospect of success. In some way, these lessons speak to our own lives. When all feels things are gone, we find that strength not to surrender, but to rise even with the struggles we face. And for someone who failed the bar 47 times and passed on the 48th attempt, I so believe it is a fitting story when we talk about Judaism in the past and Judaism today. When we examine Jewish history, it's nothing short of a miracle that we're still here. For those who have taken my history classes, when we talked about Eastern, Near Eastern religions and empires, they vanished into history. What remains of the Assyrians, the Babylonians, the Hittites are fragments displayed in museums. And guess where all places they're displayed? In Israel. But we endured. We survived the Assyrians, the Babylonians, the Greeks, the Romans, the Crusaders, the Caliphates, the Cossacks, the Communists, and the Nazis. And so many times throughout history, we were kicked out from one country and then kicked out of another country. Some kings would give us citizenship a couple years later, and then they would take it away. By every measure, when you think about this, we shouldn't be here. It defies reason, it defies logic. And yet, here we are. We beat the odds. We refuse to let defeat or doubt prevail. And so why is that? I want to answer this question not as a historian delivering this lecture, and I don't want us to fall asleep, but on a side note, I've always wanted to say this. I still have great respect for those congregants who close their eyes during sermons and appear like this. Wait. Only to focus, of course. But in the most serious of ways, I want these remarks to reflect on something deeper. How we've not only endured, but where we are flourishing, and where we have transformed hardship into resilience, and resilience into purpose to thrive in so many spheres of life. And at the same time, I want these words to speak honestly where we still must grow, where we must be strengthened, and where resilience remains our greatest calling. Because through the lens of Maxi's story, I see the same truth, that we've always held on to this special faith. It is the miracle of Hashem, the miracle of God. It is the love of Judaism. It is the love of Torah. It's the love of Shabbat and the mitzvahs that carried through us through every single period of darkness. It's our celebration to live. It's our refusal to surrender. It is, as Maxi taught us, perseverance, perseverance, perseverance. And when we take back and we think about this opening metaphor, it's my suggestion that we, the Jewish people, we are the people of the 48th tribe. Our light is still shining, and it always will. And even 2 years after October 7th, Israel remains among the happiest nations in the world. Israel is top 5 in the Happy Index. By contrast, Americans ranked 15th in global happiness in 2023, but today, we're at 24th, our lowest position to date in the greatest country in the world. So why is Israel so happy when missile sirens have become part of the cultural norm? And here is why. And I'm asking all of us to listen with our hearts and souls. They make Friday night separate and special. They light Shabbos candles with Abba and Ima, Savta and Saba. They gather around the table singing Shalom Aleichem, welcoming the angels. They make Kiddush over the wine and Hamotzi over the challah, holding fast to traditions older than the state of Israel. And yet, when Shabbos dinner ends, many Israelis will head out to the clubs. By Saturday morning, those beaches are alive. Paddle games, men rocking those Speedos with no shame, full swing out on the beach. No shame, it's remarkable. I dare anyone go to 30A with that look. Okay. Maybe in Orange Beach, okay. And you see the windsurfers cutting across the waves, and then, like next week, they do it again. Repeat week after week. Life will go on, and so does their Judaism. Even as war, even as government protests continue to permeate all over Israeli society, Israelis are still choosing to celebrate life. Jewish couples are standing beneath the chuppah, committing to build a future together. Israelis are having many children, not just the religious, but also the secular. They are replenishing what was taken from us, affirming that Am Yisrael Chai, the Jewish people, live in the land of Israel forever. As Israeli-American journalist Dan Sinor said it perfectly, Israelis are going to be just fine. And like Maxi, Israel today chooses to get back up again and again, war after war, no matter the odds, no matter the logic, and no matter what the Western world has against them. While in Israel, this Jewish life pulses with energy and defiant joy. But here in America, we know the story is a lot more complicated. Rather, it tells a different story. For decades, so many high holiday sermons have focused on the rise of unaffiliation, on shrinking synagogue memberships, general disengagements, and community struggling to define its purpose. So many of rabbis, we've stood in bimas offering countless prescriptions, countless strategies, countless pleas to remedy not just the lack of synagogue connection, but the deeper question facing American Jewish identity itself. Reform and conservative congregations are merging simply to survive. And since the holidays is a period of reflection, it's true that a few years ago, I might have stood here and torn apart our movement, calling out its positions and policies without hesitation, because I truly thought I knew what would repair our movement. Rather, I want us to focus on real solutions, livable, doable, because I believe that Judaism itself can be the answer. Whether it's here at Temple Emanu-El, across Birmingham, I want us to build a Judaism that inspires, a Judaism that sustains and transforms, a Judaism rooted with meaning, alive with purpose. And when future generations gather in this very sanctuary and Yontif and ask, how did we keep this miracle going? The answer, I believe, will be simple. Perseverance, perseverance. But for this to happen, we need to reimagine what Judaism can become, and frankly, what it needs to become. A renewed and vibrant expression of Jewish life, a Judaism that draws its strength and inspiration from the flourishing spirit we see in Israel, proud, joyful, resilient, and fully alive even after the wake of October 7th. And above all, when we fortify such a Judaism, and some of the ideas I will propose are so simple, some a little novel, but I believe the adversities we face, the anxieties that we carry, and the stresses that we endure will begin to soften. The intentional practice of Judaism has never rested on tradition alone. It's grounded in our deep conviction of faith, which has always been our source to find strength, meaning, healing, and the foundation of the resilience and the perseverance that has carried us through every generation. So enough with platitudes. Where do we begin? We begin by showing up. And I want you to listen once more. It's time we don't circumvent Jewish life for extracurricular activities. We begin with Shabbat. Come, sit in this sanctuary, pray, sing, laugh, fall asleep. But when the services end, don't just leave and go home. Go to dinner together. When Shabbat services end, I stand at that door saying goodbye. Shalom Lahithrot. I ask the same question. Where are you having dinner tonight? Invite another family over for Shabbos dinner, or even add them to the reservation. Share challah, share stories, share our lives, because Shabbat isn't about rest. It's about the restoration of the soul, our family, and for our entire community. Because a renewed Judaism requires more than just showing up. It calls us on how to rethink we live Jewishly and how we live as Americans. I know how stressed and anxious we are, especially our kids. A keen example, our eldest, Lillian, is 8 years old. We live in a cell phone and social media epidemic. And I see plenty of people here from children's hospitals who can speak to this. Rachel and I had to sign a no smartphone pledge for Lillian until she turned 16 with a cluster of her friends. An almost unthinkable step, but one we had to do to protect her childhood and our future well-being. And deep down, we know that the endless stream of extracurriculars we pile onto our children will not guarantee their successes and will not guarantee their menschiness. We as parents are called to teach our children to be resilient humans, Jews, citizens. Our job is not to build a resume at age 8. Shabbat pauses all of this. It interrupts the relentless pace of our lives and draws us back to what truly matters. Shabbat has the power to turn what some call the anxious generation into a resilient generation, and yet we still resist it because I'm assuming you'll hear my words, you'll hear the facts, how good religious services are for our minds, our bodies, and our souls. And when you come with your grandparents, your cousins, it does so much good for you. But so many of us will still make the conscious choice not to embrace Shabbat and fill our lives with excuses that keeps us away from it. It's utterly maddening because deep down, we know better. 7 years ago, we had a robust and engaging Torah study on Shabbat morning. This room, Jasper room, it was alive. Conversations, debates, and laughter. The best part is these potlucks that they would bring. I would sit down in the center. I see Jesse. I'd have all my humishes and my books, and next thing you know, all these congregants would just bring me donut, Publix raspberry coffee cake, brownies, a caloric plate of around 10,000 calories, thinking I couldn't get through the book of Leviticus. And by the end, the plate stacked up so high, I called it the food tower of Babel. But these moments weren't just about learning. They were about community. They were about showing up, asking big questions together, and knowing that Torah isn't something ancient or distant. It was alive, it was relevant, and Torah speaks directly to us. And then came COVID. We went from 20 to 30 people in a room to maybe 4 faces on Zoom. And this shift has been hard, especially for so many of the originals in Shabbat morning Torah study who built a sense of that community and learning together. And the truth is, the easiness of staying home has made it tempting to let this part of our Jewish life slip away. But there's one thing that tradition teaches us, is that perseverance requires Torah. It's not about learning the ancient words of generations past. It's about shaping the way we live, shaping the way how we respond, and the way we hold on to hope. It's how it grounds us in strength and blessings. In person, it's different. It's better. It feeds the soul in a way that Zoom can't ever. And it makes us happy. And so I'm happy to announce that we will begin in person on October 4th. And not to go on repeat, but I'm going to ask the following question again, b'miuchad, especially for our young families and for grandparents who I believe can tell their kids what to do regarding their kids. Right, Mom? Okay. Do we want to know why Israelis are so happy? Because they place its focus on Judaism, faith, family, and friends, especially when it comes to rearing children. Yes, young Israelis will play soccer on the pitch or play basketball, but here's the thing. At 18, they go to the army. And when they're done in the army, they're not going to college yet. They're going to Tahiti for a year. And so the average freshman age is either 23 or 24. And it's no coincidence that they are not just only the happiest people in the world, but also the most engaging with their innovation. And after October 7th, we came to understand something crucial. I'm going to say this twice. What we once believed to be the conventional wisdom of life as American Jews is no longer the case again. What we once believed to be the conventional wisdom of life as American Jews is no longer the case. It's done. It's over. It's no coincidence. And so I want to offer a bold idea. Again, especially to our parents rearing teenage children. Consider a gap year in Israel before college. For too long, we've assumed there's only one path. This is the greatest generation path after World War II. We graduate high school at 18, head straight to college, earn that degree. Either by 22 we start a job or go to graduate school and then launch into our career. That script is an old American way of thinking. But perhaps this moment is a reckoning for the Jewish people. It's time to rethink that story. Spending a year in Israel is more than an educational experience. It is a formative one. Al Cohn, where are you? Will you stand up? You're a past president. Your first daughter, what'd she do?
She did a gap year in Israel.
And then where'd she go?
University of Georgia.
Number 2.
She did a gap year in Israel and then went to is now at the University of Michigan.
And number 3?
Is a senior in high school planning on doing a gap year in Israel.
Hazaku Baruch. And if this feels impossible, then we must encourage our 11th and 12th grade students to consider studying for just one semester during their high school year. I know this may interrupt school activities, sports, and friendships, but the truth is, a semester in Israel is one of the most powerful and spiritual and resilient resume builders we can offer our teens. Miriam Sokol, you're next. You're on the board. Stand up. Where's your son right now? Your son is making history by stepping away from his senior fall semester at Mountain Brook to study in Israel, breaking years of silence when no students from our community participated. And in January, Ben Smith, can I do it? Stand up. Where's your son going in January? What year in high school are you? Sophomore. We have a proud alumni who spent a high school semester in Israel, and it's time to revive this tradition. And for all the young parents, you can send me the emails after Yontif. But I know when you guys go to the doctor and you have a virus, you guys want antibiotics, and they're not going to work. Just ask my wife or Dr. Sag. But when you have a bacteria infection, and we can call this lack of Jewish identity, we actually have the antibiotics that work. Here's why. Send your kid to Israel because it shapes them in no classroom at home can. It experiences our children's connection to their heritage, strengthens their resilience, and forward them with a powerful Jewish identity. Because here's the thing. Being in Israel at this age doesn't create stronger Jews. It plants the seeds for Jewish marriages. Again, Jewish marriages, Jewish homes, Jewish children, and a thriving Jewish future. And finally, my last bold idea, and for this one, I'm going to need your help. We have 615 families at Temple Emanu-El. In 3 years, I want us to be at 750 families. I want us to build a synagogue life with learning, prayer, community, and mitzvahs. I need each of you to take on one simple assignment because they are out there. I want you to find one unaffiliated Jew in this community and bring them into our community. Invite them to Shabbat. Bring them to a holiday celebration. Share with them the joy, meaning, and belonging that we have found here. And together we can make this place the greatest beacon of Jewish life for generations to grow. Because this is how we grow our ranks and secure our future. Maxi teaches us something eternal. 47 times he walked away disappointed, heartbroken, and even humiliated. But he got that number 2 pencil, and he prevailed. We're the people of the 48th tribe. For thousands of years, history told us to quit. Empires rose and fell, kingdoms collapsed. Logic said, give up, move on, find a different story, but we refused. We swung away and again and again. And somehow, impossibly, unbelievably, we are still here. And this is Temple Emanu-El's 48th attempt. And the only way to keep that miracle alive is if we choose, like Maxi, to keep showing up with faith, courage, and with hope. We choose it when we bring our children to Shabbat and then to Israel. We choose it when we change old norms and embrace new possibilities. We choose it when we build Jewish ritual into our homes and we open up our doors to new families. And when we dare dream about a synagogue vibrant enough to inspire generations not yet born. I know it feels that we failed 47 times because the world has told us that we cannot exist. 47 times we have been counted out, and yet we are here. And when the future asks us how we kept this miracle going, how we rebuilt, how we renewed a vibrant Judaism after 10/7, I want to say this. It was because of Maxi Filer's lesson. We never stopped showing up. We never allowed failure to define us. We did it. We had perseverance. This is our calling. This is our legacy. And this is the story, this is the mission that we must pass on to their children and to theirs. Go get your number 2 pencil. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.